and welcome to episode 25 of the Knitty Heather podcast. My name is Heather and I'm coming to you from Kent, Washington, where I live with my husband Tom and our Cavalier King Charles Spaniel Pepper. This is my podcast where I talk all about my knitting and creating and everything I learn along the way. I always love to share any tips and tricks that I pick up with all of my knitting friends. I am also a huge supporter and promoter of anyone who adds to the fiber community, whether they are a yarn dyer, bag maker, progress keeper maker, anyone that adds to the beauty of our fiber world. If you are a new viewer, welcome. I am so glad you found me. I hope you enjoy yourself. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. If you would like to follow me, I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I always love making connections with people there. All of the yarn and patterns and accessories I talk about will be listed and linked in the description box below. Today is Saturday, May 8th, 2021, and I have a lot to tell you about, so let's get started. Today I am wearing my multi-directional triangle scarf by Karen Balmer. I knit this years and years ago. This was one of the first projects I think I ever did, kind of once I got past just plain old knitting and purling. This is a garter stitch scarf that creates triangles by doing short rows. The yarn I used for this was Crystal Palace Yarns Mini Mochi. I believe the colorway was called Caramel Latte. But it has some pretty light tans to browns to grays. And you can kind of see the different triangles come through. You start, of course, with the short triangle in the corner. This is a super fun scarf pattern, a lot more interesting than just back and forth, back and forth. And it's a great pattern for any yarn that has a slower color change to really be able to see the triangles come through. This was the multi-directional scarf pattern by Karen Balmer. Today I am also wearing a pair of self-striping socks using the pinstripe socks pattern by Julia Swart. This is an excellent, simple pattern that looks great with self-striping yarn. I knit these last May, and the yarn I used was Desert Vista Dye Works 7525 Viso base in the colorway West Side Story. These were knit top down with a 2x2 rib for the cuff, an afterthought heel, and a wedge toe. Now I'd like to tell you about some happy mail I received. I actually got this probably over a month ago now. I think this was not her most recent, but the time before her most recent Mystery Mini Skein set. This is from Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. And as you can see, this package is 5 20-gram minis inspired by the color Sunflower Yellow. She does a mystery minis pack with 5 20-gram minis. You can choose from different yarn bases that she has in her shop, and she ties them together with an inspiration color. I think this is by far, I've loved all of them that I've received so far, but I think this is by far my favorite. It is the most vibrant, absolutely gorgeous. Again, this is Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. Donna, she is such a master with colors. She has all kinds of beautiful yarn in her shop. And I've really been enjoying her mystery mini packs every month. This is probably, I don't know, the 7th or 8th month that I've received her mystery mini set, and they've all been with a different color, and they have all been beautiful. I am adding them into a granny stripe blanket that I recently started, so it should look really cool, kind of having somewhat cohesive colors building on top of each other. I really think that that's going to look fabulous. I'm going to try to keep just using her mini skeins for that particular blanket. I'll try to make a little more progress on that blanket and show it in the very near future. So definitely take a look at Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. Donna, she has all kinds of beautiful yarn in her shop. And I believe this Mystery Mini Skein Club is kind of an ongoing thing. I think you have to sign up by the 15th of the month, but if you sign up after that, you just get included with the next month's shipment. Check her out, Crystal Skies Hand Dyed on Etsy. on to some finished objects. I have 2 half finished objects, 2 single socks to show you today, and I am very, very anxious to get started with their mates very soon. The first one is from the Cozy Knitter. This was her February Yarn of the Month colorway called Let's Calibrate. And it is a beautiful, beautiful gray gradient striping main color yarn. And she included these 3 10-gram minis to use as you pleased. I decided to do the toes, heels, and cuffs all in a different color. I did the toe in red. I did these toe up. I just started with my normal wedge toe that I use, going toe up, where I'm just increasing every other round, starting from Judy's Magic Cast On. I did a Fish Lips Kiss Heel in this blue colorway. And then I did 10 rounds of a 2x2 rib with this green. And I think they are so fun. I think this is definitely going to be a unique pair of socks that will add a lot of variety to my sock drawer. I'm pleased with how I did this, and I think I will do this same thing. I kind of thought about switching the colors up for the second sock, but I like how these colors kind of landed with each other in the main yarn. So I think I will keep and cast on the next toe in the red very, very shortly. I cast the toe on using Magic Loop, and then I switched to a 9-inch circular for the rest of the sock. And I am hoping to get the next toe cast on later tonight or tomorrow. This is a plain vanilla sock with a Fish Lips Kiss Heel knit up in Let's Calibrate by the Cozy Knitter from her Yarn of the Month Club. My next half-finished object is from my Yarnable subscription box by Hypnotic Yarn. This colorway is called Celtic Fairy. Really pretty blues and greens with those little hints of black in the variegation. Really super pretty. This was from her March box. The pattern I am doing is called Kaye Cables by Sierra of All Knit Up Designs. It's a very pretty twisted stitch pattern. I started with 12 rounds of a 2x2 rib going cuff down, and then that fed perfectly into the main stitch pattern. She called for an Eye of Partridge heel flap, and then I closed up the gusset. I did the stitch pattern around the leg and then across the top of the foot, and then a rounded toe. I'm really happy with how this turned out. I am anxious to cast on the second sock with this pair as well. I would love to do this pattern again with a more solid or tonal color. You can see it when you look up close, but I feel like it would speak very differently if I did this with less of a variegated yarn and more of a tonal yarn. The pattern is beautiful. I really love it. This was Kaye Cables by Sierra of All Knit Up Designs, knit up in Hypnotic Yarns, Celtic Fairy from her Yarnable box. Now I'd like to start telling you about my works in progress. First is my May Desert Vista Dyework socks. This colorway is called Someday. This was her 2020 exclusive colorway that I received for completing her 6th annual Desert Vista Dyeworks Monthly Sock Club. This is my May entry into the 7th annual sock club that she runs. Here's what it looks like in the cake. Such beautiful colors. Some oranges, yellows, blues, and a pretty purple. And then what's really cool is she included a mini that has all those same colors but in a variegated. So the main yarn is self-striping, and then the contrasting mini is a variegated yarn with those same colors. So I'm going to do this pair one at a time. This is still the first sock. I did the toe in the contrasting variegated mini. I'm doing these toe up. The pattern I am using is the Vanilla Latte Socks by Virginia Rose Jeans. I've done this pattern before. I haven't done it toe up before until now, but it translates perfectly fine into toe up. Just a little bit of extra detail across the top of the foot. And then I will continue the pattern around the leg once I work up to the leg. I think I have about 10 more rounds or so, and I will try to find a good stripe to mark my afterthought heel. I'm going to do an afterthought heel using the contrasting mini, and so I'll try to mark right between two stripes on the back side. Back side on the bottom of the foot is just plain stockinette, so you can really see how the pretty colors are striping. The plan is to continue, like I said, I think about 10 more rounds till I get to a good break in the stripe to mark my afterthought heel, and then I'll continue up the leg. And then I will also do the cuff. I'll probably do a 2x2 rib for the cuff using this contrasting mini, and then go back and knit the afterthought heel with the contrasting mini as well. When I cast on the second pair, I will try to match up, start it with the purple stripe after the toe. But since I'm doing these one at a time, if they don't match up totally perfectly, I'll be okay with it. But I do always try to match them up as best I can. This cactus Progress Keeper is from Desert Vista Dyeworks. It was also part of the prize package for her annual monthly sock club last year, along with this beautiful yarn. And my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks are once again living in my sock monkey bag from MLD Threads on Etsy. This is the Vanilla Latte Socks by Virginia Rose Jeans, knit up in Desert Vista Dyeworks 2020 exclusive colorway Someday. Next up is another new cast on. These are my Rome socks. This is a pattern by Nina Phillip, the Knitting Expat, and it is part of her newest sock club around the world in 8 socks. This is the 3rd month that she has released a pattern inspired by a city around the world. This month it is Rome. And it is such a pretty pattern. It does kind of remind me of like Roman columns. This Mermaid Tail Progress Keeper is from Bump on a Hill on Etsy. And I am keeping this in my donut bag by Jenny of Mountain State Stitches on Etsy. This is a super fun pattern. You do these special smock stitches to kind of pinch them all together to give them that columny look. She calls it the smock stitch, and she includes a link in the pattern to a video tutorial where she shows you how to do this special stitch where you're kind of wrapping some stitches 3 different ways. So it was super helpful. I definitely found the way that worked the best for me. Really fun. Mina is an excellent teacher. I love all of her tutorial videos that she has out. This yarn I'm using is from Lolo Did It, another installment from her Downton Abbey Upstairs and Downstairs Club. This main color is called Indecent Proposal. Lots of different pinks and purples. And this dark, very rich purple contrasting mini is called Seduced. So I cast on and did 20 rounds of the ribbing that she calls for in the pattern, which kind of leads into the main pattern very nicely. And I'm only working the pattern across the front of the sock. Here's the back of the leg that is just plain stockinette. How beautiful is her yarn. I just love how that's knitting up. So I'm already at the German short row heel that I will do in the contrasting mini. So I need to do that and then continue this pattern down the rest of the foot before I do the toe, which will also be in the contrasting mini. So this leg knit up super quickly. I'm very, very pleased with how it looks, and I'm excited to do the German short row heel that she calls for very shortly. I plan to do the German short row heel in garter stitch this time, which means that I will just do all knitting, no purling along the wrong side. I think that will look really nice with this pattern. One more look at this beautiful stitch pattern. This is the Rome Socks by Nina Phillip, the Knitting Expat, knit up in Lolo Did It, Indecent Proposal, and Seduced. Next, I'd like to tell you about my spring Rainbow Connection socks. This is the Rainbow Connection pattern by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady. And I am using Desert Vista Dye Works sock set where she put together two 50-gram half skeins called Spring Rainbow. She dyed these up specifically to use in this pattern, and it is working out perfectly. She has you cast on in the solid color. I did 16 rounds of a 2x2 rib in my case, and then continue this really fun slip stitch pattern where you're just changing between the solid and self-striping yarn. You don't ever need to break the yarn, which is really nice. And then it just kind of stripes on the back. I love these rainbow tones that she has in this colorway, especially that really vibrant orange and yellow. I think they are paired perfectly with this cream solid color. This rainbow cupcake progress keeper is from Bluebird Miniatures on Etsy, and I still have this sock in my Knitting Chickens bag by Bags by Awesome Granny on Etsy. So I've made a little bit more progress since my progress keeper on this first sock in this pair. I hope to have this and the second sock done by the end of June, so the end of the second quarter, and then I will cast on the summer rainbow sock set at the beginning of July. That's my plan, to do one pair of these quarterly. So I have a nice little collection of these socks. This is a really fun pattern and it works up so quickly. You just want to keep going with this. I think I have about 12 or 14 more rounds I need to do before I start the heel flap, which I will do in the solid color. She's really good in the pattern about telling you what round to start certain elements like the heel and the toe, so that you can keep working with your striping and not have to break your yarn at all. It's a very, very well thought out, well written pattern. Once again, this was the Rainbow Connection socks by Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, knit up in Desert Vista Dye Works Spring Rainbow Sock Set. Speaking of Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, I am super excited for her Summer Sock Camp 2021. I'm sure that if you've stumbled upon my little podcast, you are familiar with Kay Litton, the Crazy Sock Lady, but she has a wonderful YouTube channel, and this will be her second year hosting a summer sock camp knit along where you just explore knitting all kinds of socks. I believe it will be June and July. There is nothing you need to do to sign up or anything. Just post the socks that you knit in the Ravelry group in the different cabins she has opened based on what needles you use. Magic loop, double points, 9-inch circulars, and I think she's got another cabin as well for those who crochet socks or use flexi flips, kind of some different alternative methods of making socks. I was lucky enough to be able to snag one of her VIP camper spots, so I'm super excited to have a special week during sock camp where I will get to do a Zoom meeting with her and a couple other new knitting friends and have a chat on Discord where we can talk throughout the week and all kinds of other fun things. I have been a huge fan of Kay's for a long time now. I just think she's so talented, so warm and friendly, and she just does really amazing work. So I cannot wait for Summer Sock Camp this year. If you are a sock knitter, I highly encourage you to participate in Summer Sock Camp 2021. If you are planning to participate in Kay's Summer Sock Camp 2021, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you are planning to knit. Let me know what patterns you are planning to do, and let me know if there are any new techniques you are planning to try. I would love to knit along with some sock knitting friends. Last but certainly not least, I would like to tell you about the brioche cowl I have been working on. This is the Channeled Colors Brioche Loop by Marcy New. She is the owner of the New Knittery here in Renton, Washington. And it is a 2-color brioche pattern. I've made a little bit of progress since my Easter Bunny Progress Keeper from Simply Serving. My little flower stitch marker that I'm using to mark the beginning of my round is from Bump on a Hill on Etsy. And I am keeping it in my dog project bag from Ryan's Marketplace on Etsy. So this is pretty much just straight up 2-color brioche with one sort of brioche knitting round and one brioche purling round. And it is completely reversible. I started with kind of a stockinette border, which she calls for, before incorporating the contrasting color. My main color is Ella Rae Cashmerino in the colorway Sycamore. And I am pairing it with Shopple Edition 3 in the colorway English Garden. I believe it is 1523 is the number. Look at all those pretty colors that are going to come up in that. It is super fun to do 2-color brioche with a solid color and then a variegated color that changes throughout. So I think I'm going to just kind of knit this up as long as the yarn will let me, or until I feel like it is long enough. And I think I mentioned before, it is a perfect pattern if you are interested in trying 2-color brioche for the first time. It might sound weird, but I actually recommend doing 2-color brioche in the round first versus flat, because it is actually a little bit simpler. There's only 2 rows that you need to memorize versus 4 if you are doing like a straight scarf using 2-color brioche. I am using my Knitter's Pride Dreams size 8 24-inch interchangeable needles. And this has been such a fun knit. I was really excited to get back into brioche. I hadn't worked it for quite a while, and there are so many projects that I want to do with 2-color brioche. So this was a really great dive back into that. And I am just happily working along. 2-color brioche would really look good with any weight of yarn too. This is a fingering weight pattern, but you could easily use sport, DK, or worsted. Just adjust the number of stitches you cast on and maybe the needle size that you use. But this would be totally workable with any 2 colors that have a nice contrast and that work well together. Let me know in the comments down below, do you have any suggestions for other good brioche patterns, whether it's for a cowl or any other kind of accessory? I'd be interested to know what you think, what suggestions you might have for other brioche patterns, whether it's single color or 2-color. Let me know what's out there. I'd be interested to hear about what you would recommend for brioche knitting. Once again, this is the Channeled Colors Brioche Cowl by Marcy New, knit up in Ella Rae Cashmerino and Shopple Edition 3. Well, I think that is about all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. I really, truly appreciate it. Please don't forget to give this video a like and consider subscribing. That would really mean so much to me. And as always, let me know if you have any feedback or anything you would like to see on this podcast. You are more than welcome to leave me a comment down below or message me on Instagram. I am at Knitty Heather on Instagram, and I would love to hear from you. But until we chat again, be well, be kind, and happy knitting. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.